something a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten path tonight. I saw this video clip. It was probably, I think it was from January 2013. Now, it was a video clip of a guy who got robbed when he was heading back to his car from a bar. And the absolute idiocracy of the whole scenario and what he said after the event happened just blew my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a bit of that clip now, and then I'll have a little bit of a discussion about it.
Complete strangers come to the rescue when a man is robbed at gunpoint. Now this victim wants to thank the Good Samaritans with a gun. This happened late last night near Herman Park.
The victim was leaving a bar when a gunman in a ski mask approached him. Our Drew Caritas is live with that story. Drew?
Well, Greg, Lisa, police believe the criminal who was canvassing this neighborhood had no idea what he was in for when he picked his target. The victim in this case had just walked back to his car. It was parked here in this residential area. He was actually coming from a bar around the corner called the Sugar Hill Club. Kevin Dorsey says he hadn't even closed his car door last night around 8:30 p.m. That's when a man wearing all black and a ski mask put a gun to his chest, taking his wallet, cell phone, and car keys. After he had been robbed, Dorsey began running down the street, and he says two men in a Mercedes asked him what had happened. He told them, and they not only caught up with the suspect, but started shooting at him. The suspect fired back, but in the end, the two witnesses turned vigilantes, won, and took down the bad guy.
I don't believe in guns. I don't own a gun. So, I'm totally at the mercy of my Savior. So he obviously sent two angels to help me. And that's what I truly believe, is that, these people protect me when I couldn't protect myself.
So the guy here said that he doesn't believe in guns. Now, when I hear that phrase, it's really ridiculous, I have to say, that to not believe in something that actually exists. If he's, if somebody says, I don't believe in a flying dill pickle, well, that would make sense because dill pickles don't fly. If somebody said, I don't believe hamburgers eat people, that would make sense because hamburgers don't eat people. But to say that you don't believe in guns is that's just being stupid. And criminals, I have to say, prey on the weak. If you paint yourself as a target, trust me, criminals are going to take aim at you with no problem because that's what they want. They want an easy score. They want an easy target. So this guy obviously, made himself an easy target. And that's what I kind of want to talk about right now. Now, this is a story that real life happened to me and my brother. I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but I will get to that story. When I was younger, me and my father used to go out shooting a lot. We lived in an area, it wasn't like out in the sticks or anything, but we lived in suburbia, but there were, woods around us, and we could go out and shoot shotguns and have a good time. My father had I believe a 5.97 Remington 22 long rifle. I had a 12 gauge camper shotgun. I had a 20 gauge Italian made shotgun, and some years later, I was 16 years old. My father passed away, and shortly thereafter, my mother sold all of the guns in the house, which I was really upset about her selling my shotgun. It was a nice Italian-made 20-gauge single-shot shotgun. So fast forward now, tragedy struck our family, and we had to sell our house. Luckily, we sold our house before the big market crash. So we made out okay on our house. Had to move out, had to move into a rental property since we had sold our house. And in this rental property, it was an apartment, lived me, my brother, and my mother. And my brother one night was out in the parking lot, which is, right outside the building. And he was working on his car, doing something with inside the car, something with a stereo or something. I was on the balcony upstairs talking to my girlfriend on the phone, and then that's when I heard a big crack, and I knew it was a punch because a punching, cracking sound is pretty unmistakable. It was probably about 50 yards away. I ran down the staircase, and that's when I saw my brother and two guys. One guy was probably about 6'8", and the other guy was probably about 5 foot nothing. So when I saw what was going on, I had the adrenaline rushing through my body. I ran out to them and yelled at them, you want to mess with my brother, you're going to mess with me. So, and I'm not a small guy either. I'm not fat, but I'm definitely not skin and bones. So I took after the big guy and I jumped on him, was attempting to get him into a knockout chokehold, MMA style. I had him on the ground. I told him, I was trying to get my brother to kick this guy in the gut or something, because I didn't know what was going on other than the fact that these guys were trying to pick a fight with my brother. I was 24 years old. My brother was 18, 19. The little guy came back with a gun. I saw the gun as he pulled it out, and the guy took the gun and pistol whipped my brother with it, and it cracked into 3 pieces. It was a BB gun. Now, I always think back on what happened that night, and how things would have changed if I would have had a handgun. So, which at that time is pretty much what changed, everything. Anyways, the struggle ensued. I was trying to get the big guy down. So I'm always going to go after the big guy. The little guy, they can take care of after I take care of the big guy. He ended up struggling free from me and took off on foot. And the little guy took off on foot in the opposite direction. Called the cops, and the cops show up. Probably about 8, 9 cop cars. So in the parking lot, tell the cops what happened. They were trying to hold up my brother with a gun. And then it just turned into a donut festival. The cops just sat in the parking lot for about 45 minutes. After about 5 minutes of them getting there, told them what happened, gave them a description of the 2 guys. The cops basically said to me, "What do you want us to do about it?" I told them to get off their freaking asses and go out and find the 2 guys. Well, they weren't going to do it. And that's another point in time when I came into this revelation that cops are janitors. They're there to clean up the mess after something happens. They're not going to protect you. They're going to protect themselves, but they're not out to protect you. I always think about, had I had a handgun on me and a concealed, weapons permit, how the whole situation would have changed. Now, I probably would have shot the little guy if he would have pulled the gun. Whether or not it was a BB gun, you wouldn't know until after the fact. And from what I can gather, these punks were probably, 16, 15 years old, maybe 17 years old, maybe 18 years old. I have no idea. They looked kind of young to me. But how the whole thing started was they stuck the gun in my brother's face, and he said, "Quit playing." And the guy punched him through the window, and that's what I heard. My brother's a firecracker, man. He will go off in a second. So he picked the wrong guy. Those 2 guys picked the 2 wrong white boys to mess with that night. However, they were never found because the cops, like I said, they're not out to go and find criminals, only when it suits them. So from that point forward, I realized that I needed to have a gun in the city, because what my brother had did was made himself a target. He was in his car late at night, probably around 10, 11 o'clock at night, in the parking lot by himself. There was many things wrong with that. Now, I thought that the area was, I mean, it wasn't a great area of the city, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't really bad either. So, it just goes to show you, I mean, this stuff can happen anywhere. Even in suburbia, where you have, you know, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 houses. This can happen anywhere to anybody. So, from that point forward, I realized that I needed to get a gun. My brother joined the Army. I come from a military family. So, you know, it's always been in my blood to go and shoot and have a good time. You know, as long as you're safe, you're not hurting anybody, you're just having some fun. But you really need to have guns to protect yourself. Now, back to the video. This guy says he doesn't believe in guns, but he's at the whim of his savior, Jesus, and he had two angels come and save him. Well, there's many things inherently wrong with that. He doesn't believe in a gun, which is something that actually exists, but he believes in Jesus Christ that nobody can prove exists. Now, I've personally asked many religious people, and I'm not very religious at all. I'm more spiritual, but not religious. I've asked people that are Christian, or whatever you want to say, that now if Jesus or God or whoever, mainly God, Christian God, has made us, human beings, in his own image, then to me that means that we ourselves are our own gods. And I've had many Christian people back me up on this and say, yep, you're right, and come into that conclusion that you are your own God because, you know, you have free will, blah, yada, 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 yada. Well, why would you put your life in the hands of fate to just, you know, not be able to protect yourself, to not be able to protect your family? And these are people who more than likely are ready to ban guns altogether. And the only thing that would do is effectively give criminals free range on everyone in society to be a target. You know, it blows my mind. You really don't want to be a target because bad things will happen to you, and you've always got to be ready. So, you know, thanks for listening to my little rant, my little story. It's what changed my life from that day forward. And it made me realize that I do not want to be a target. And I want to be able to protect my family and my friends and the people around me. So, thanks for listening. You guys have a good one. I know this was a little long, and it was a little off my usual topics and subjects, but I really wanted to talk about it and let everybody know out there how I really feel about the whole situation. And when I saw that video, it just blew my mind that there's people like this out in the world, and I know there's a lot more dumber people than that. So, anyways, everybody have a good night. Shoot straight, be safe, have fun.